If nobodies keep landing the gigs you should be getting, here's the truth. It's not your skills that are the problem, it's how you're positioned. Today, I'm going to walk you through the exact system that changes everything, so premium clients start coming to you instead of the other way around. First, I'll show you the hidden rule that C-suite executives actually use when they pick their person, then the 3-move authority positioning switch you can start using this week. By the time we're done here, you'll have a simple playbook to become the obvious choice without posting content every day or cutting your prices. Let's start with how your buyers really choose, because I promise you it isn't credentials. Harvard University did some fascinating research through their Opportunity Insights program. They found that nearly 1 in 3 Americans get hired through a parent's company connection. And here's the thing, they earn 20% more because of it. The researchers called it 200 times more likely than chance. Think about that for a second. Now, if that's happening with regular jobs, what do you think is happening to those $25,000 or $50,000 consulting contracts? Here's what I've learned after working with hundreds of consultants. 70 to 80% of premium consulting engagements get filled through private networks. They never make it to LinkedIn or the consulting platforms. Picture this. A CEO has a challenge. Does she post looking for executive coach on a job board? Of course not. She picks up the phone and asks her network, who do you know that handles this kind of thing? Can we agree that that makes sense? So they're not choosing the most qualified experts, they're choosing the most positioned experts, the ones who are already part of the conversation before the conversation even starts. But here's what most people miss. This isn't just about consulting anymore. The whole expert economy has shifted, and most seasoned professionals are still playing by yesterday's rules. Which means if you're not positioned in those conversations, you're competing for the leftovers. It's like fishing in a pond after someone else already caught all the fish. And here's how this impacts you. Every single day, you're not positioned as the obvious choice. Someone else is building the authority that should rightfully be yours. Let me tell you about Jenna. She's a 45-year-old corporate trainer with serious leadership expertise. For years, she's built what looked like a solid business. Local workshops, decent income, good reputation in her community. She was the go-to person in her area. Then something happened that changed everything. A major industry conference announced their speaker lineup. Jenna watched as several of her peers, people she knew personally, people with similar backgrounds, got booked for keynote spots. We're talking $10,000 to $25,000 speaking fees. She wasn't even on their radar. It wasn't just disappointment she felt, it was the crushing realization that each missed opportunity like this was costing her the chance to elevate her entire career. If you can relate, let me know in the comments. Now, here's what Jenna didn't understand back then. Those conference organizers weren't choosing the best trainers, they were choosing the most positioned trainers. You might be thinking, this is just about having connections you don't have. But here's where this gets really interesting. The famous nobodies figured out something that seasoned experts completely miss. Ever heard of Lou of Magalu? She's a virtual influencer, a computer-generated Brazilian retail mascot. Last year, she earned $2.54 million from positioning alone. Let that sink in. A cartoon character out-earned real professionals with decades of experience by a factor of 40 to 1. Why? Because Lou had systematic visibility and crystal clear positioning in her market. This isn't just happening online. Look at the music industry for a minute. Famous nobodies, bands with modest talent but smart positioning, get the premium gigs, while virtuoso musicians are playing coffee shops for tips. How do they pull this off? They show up consistently where the decision makers are, even when they're not trying to sell anything. They build their reputation through strategic, smaller gigs. They study the scene and learn to speak the language fluently. They leverage each opportunity to get access to bigger stages. This is exactly what Jenna and thousands of expert consultants miss. They're sitting around waiting for their big break instead of systematically building the positioning that creates big breaks. The real game isn't about competing on credentials, it's about systematic authority positioning. I call it the authority positioning system. 3 core pieces that work together. First, strategic visibility. Being present in C-suite conversations without trying to sell anything. It's not about networking harder, it's about positioning smarter. Second, credibility stacking. Using each engagement to build authority for the premium contracts. Every smaller opportunity becomes proof for the bigger opportunities. Third, executive language fluency, speaking their challenges before they even know how to articulate them. And here's where positioning becomes deeply personal for experts like Jenna. You specialized in your niche to stand out, right? Financial advisors who serve specific niches see 40% revenue increases. Specialization absolutely works. But here's the paradox that trips everyone up. You specialize to become more visible, yet somehow you feel more invisible than ever. You have the expertise, you have the results, you have the case studies. What you don't have is the systematic positioning engine that makes decision makers think of you first when they have a problem. The math backs this up. Companies prefer positioned experts because they can make decisions 47% faster and it reduces their acquisition costs by $7,500 per hire. The system rewards clear positioning over credentials alone. So the question isn't, how do I get better at what I do? The real question is, how do I get positioned so that they think of me first? Here's what I've discovered working with consultants who've made this switch. Knowing the system isn't the same as having it work for you, because the real challenge isn't understanding positioning, it's packaging your expertise so C-suite executives think this person gets exactly what I need before the call even starts. And that's exactly why I created this next video for you to watch. It walks you through the specific framework that makes high-paying clients see you as their obvious choice. You'll see how to turn your knowledge into authority that buyers can't ignore, plus the language patterns that make premium clients feel like you're reading their minds. It's positioning that actually converts into contracts.